I'm Krista Lidke, chef and owner of Boone Eat and Drink and Brot Modern German here in Sonoma County, California. And today we have with us Tucker Taylor. You're gonna love this guy. And Golden State Ciders. Now, Golden State is a brand that's rooted in agriculture, and their products represent the rich diversity of apples here throughout the West Coast. So stick around, because the more we drink, the more we dish. This is Beyond the Wineglass. Welcome, Tucker. It's great to see you.
Thank you, Krista.
So you are the director of the Culinary Gardens at Kendall Jackson. Tell us what it means to be a culinary gardener.
The reason I got into horticulture is because it's a combination of art and science. When you're cooking, it's the same thing. So there's that commonality. And I just love being part of that creative process. And every chef is different, and it's fun to meet them where they are and ultimately do my best to keep them entertained.
Yeah, I mean, and it's great because you get to be this creative along with their process, right?
Yeah.
Which I love. And you brought some beautiful little gems here on the table. But before we get into it, let's jump into a cider.
Nice.
Just to, we'll loosen ourselves up a little bit this morning. So first one we have is actually their Mighty Dry cider. So we're gonna start with this one. So cheers, by the way,
Cheers.
welcome.
Thank you.
I'm a big fan of ciders just because in general they're all gluten-free as well. I try not to have a lot of gluten, so this is kind of fun.
Yeah.
What do you think of this? Are you familiar with Golden State?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Totally. I like dry.
Yeah, it's nice. It's super crisp, kind of like starting your day with some champagne. All right, so you joined Kendall Jackson in 2013.
Yeah.
What was happening in your life at that moment? Like, what drew you to Kendall Jackson?
So I had moved to California in 2007 to redesign the culinary garden at the French Laundry, and was with Chef Keller for 5 years. And I began consulting on the side almost immediately, and that really took off. So I was originally going to consult with the project with Jackson Family Wines and Kendall Jackson. And the 3-month-long conversation kept getting better and better, and they finally asked me to write my dream job description, and I've been with them 9 years now.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, to be able to be offered this opportunity to like dream up your ideal culinary gardens and then implement it, like that's a dream job.
It is.
So in terms of, you chose to settle here in Sonoma County. What makes Sonoma County different in terms of like a growing area versus other places that you've lived in California?
Well, we grow 12 months out of the year, which is not unheard of in many parts of the world, but...
You don't get a break then. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have to be a little strategic with that, but it's, we don't stop eating, so it's nice to be able to provide food to people in our community year round.
Yeah, fresh produce constantly. I mean, that's just, it's such a bounty that we have here. If you had to, this is a tough one. If you had to choose your favorite produce, just one, what would it be?
So I really love growing oyster leaf, which is a crop that originates in the moors of Scotland. And several years ago, Thomas Keller was in Lyon and texted a photograph of this leaf, and he was raving about it. I found a seed source in France and brought the seed in, and I've been growing it ever since.
Amazing.
And it's this most beautiful blue-green leaf, and it tastes just like oysters.
Something tells me you might have some with you.
Yeah, I do.
You gotta love it when they bring stuff in their pocket. Oh my God. Look at that. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Tastes just like an oyster.
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming might pair quite nicely. So I'm gonna
Right.
take a sip of cider in here too.
I'm gonna join you.
It's crazy. And I love seeing like all your petite veg. I mean, it's so cute.
Yeah.
And it's delicious because what you're saying, right? It's like nutrient dense and even in the tiniest bite, which is what I love. Like as a chef, it's like, it's not about abundance, like massive quantity. It's about the quality, like, and just that perfect bite. And when I see your posts on your Insta of like just these tiny little veg in your hand, I'm just like, oh my God. It makes you want to eat it right there. All right, I think we're going to jump into our next one. This is a cider that is actually called Jamaica, and it's from, hibiscus flowers, which I'm sure you're well aware. So let's give this one a taste.
Nice.
Cheers. That's good. I like the tartness.
Yeah. And there's a bit of creaminess to it.
This one could get dangerous. All right, so we've talked a little bit about your time at the French Laundry. How did any of the work that you did at French Laundry in those gardens sort of influence or shape what you're doing at Kendall Jackson today?
So I learned a lot while I was at the French Laundry, and a big part of it was seeing what was happening behind the scenes in the kitchen and seeing the amount of labor that went into preparation. And so, although a lot of chefs feel like our produce is more expensive, the chefs that are really keyed in to what we're doing understand that they're saving money on labor. So we're taking labor that has traditionally happened in the kitchen and we're bringing it out into the garden. So we're growing to spec, and for instance, with these petite radishes, every one of these radishes is 25 cents. We grow our petite crops by the 100 count, so $25 for a 100 count. When a chef can just pull it out
and put it on the plate,
there's virtually not much you have to do to it.
No, it's amazing. I mean, I know this firsthand. We have a small little culinary garden, which you've seen, and my mom, tends these gardens and brings stuff in. And half the time, my chefs are running around, they're busy, and she'll bring in this beautiful harvest of stuff that she's gotten from the garden, and it sits there because no one has the time to process it, right? No one has the time to wash it, to clean it, to do all the beautiful things that you do to it. So it is, like you said, it is time saving, but it's getting people to realize that. Right. And when those chefs who understand, and by the way, we're all short staffed right now. Right, so like being able to have these amazing, beautiful specimens come into the kitchen ready to go, ready to be plated is just, that's a gift. So appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
One of the things that I just learned about you is you're on the board of Farm to Pantry, which a dear friend, Dusky, is their executive director. Tell us a little bit about the mission of Farm to Pantry and how that fits with what you're doing.
So, at Farm to Pantry, we coordinate volunteers to go to people's homes or go to farms and glean produce that would otherwise be wasted. And so it's nice to know that from a farmer's perspective, I can pick up the phone and call Dusky or someone on her team and say, hey, I have an extra 3 rows of cucumbers that need to be picked, 2 rows of onions, 5 rows of carrots, whatever it is. Yep. And that week, they will send a team out to harvest that and take it to people who could really use it in our community.
Which is amazing, because just the availability of like fresh produce to people in need, which they wouldn't normally probably be going to the store to spend their money on because it's expensive. Yeah. I mean, everything has gotten so expensive. And as a chef and just someone in the field, like to not have these beautiful things that you've spent time and energy and love and money into growing to be wasted. So it's just like the intersection of what you're doing and what Farm to Pantry is doing to bring food to the people who would not otherwise have access to this is just, I mean, it makes my heart warm. So,
Dusky is she's taking Farm to Pantry to the next level, and we're all so thankful to be able to work with her and to watch her grow and her team grow, and it's...
Pun intended.
It's great.
So meditation has become obviously increasingly popular over the last few years. We've all been dealing with a lot coming out of that. Does gardening and what you do in your job, like, is it a nice way for you to disconnect, and do you find it meditative, the work that you're doing?
Yeah, in our culinary garden, we have people visiting us from around the world every day, and it's a nice opportunity to get people to understand that I don't work, I live my life. And part of that is all day long, I'm listening to the birds and I'm watching the butterflies fly by and, breathing fresh air and harvesting fresh produce. And that in and of itself is a meditation.
Are you hiring? No, I mean, it sounds amazing. And it's like every time I picked some herbs and things from the garden this morning, and it's such a sense of peace and calm. And I think what I'd say like connectedness, right, to the earth, which
Exactly.
is, I mean, for you to be able to say that that's your job all day, to just, be in nature and to grow beautiful things. It's like, wow, what a gift, right?
Yeah.
And it's a gift for us, especially as a chef, to appreciate, what that brings to us. So tell us about like the most exotic or uncommon things that you like to grow. I mean, besides the oyster leaf, which by the way, mind blowing. I mean, that's I'd heard of it, but I've never tasted it. And it really tastes like an oyster.
So in addition to oyster leaf, we grow ice lettuce from coastal Africa. It's not a true lettuce, it's a succulent, and it looks like it's covered in tiny diamonds. And being a coastal plant, it uptakes salts from the soil. So it's super briny, really crunchy and delicious.
And like, what's an example? I mean, I've seen it and it's gorgeous and it's so fun, but like, what's an example of a dish that would be like perfect on?
I really like it on a really nice piece of hamachi sashimi. You put that on top with maybe a little drizzle of olive oil, and it just adds
That adds
nice,
your salinity.
Yeah, salinity and a little crunch.
Do you have any hamachi in your pocket? No? Okay. We're gonna jump into the ginger grass.
Nice.
And as you can imagine, it's ginger and lemongrass.
Oh,
so
nice.
Appropriately named. So let's
Nice.
see what we think of this guy. Cheers. I mean, you get the lemongrass and the ginger like right on the nose immediately first.
This one is
That's nice.
really nice. My parents are from West Virginia, so we would go visit our relatives up there, and my grandparents had some friends that always grew corn, and I always have the fondest memories of going to their house, and we would pick corn right off the stalk, barely even steam it, just lightly steam it and have it.
And it's
And
so
it's
sweet.
so sweet.
So
And
juicy, so sweet.
I think that that's part of what we try to encourage people to seek out when they come visit our garden is tap into farming communities in their local communities, because there's nothing like fresh produce.
Yeah, it tastes so different, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can like, it's night and day, the stuff that's like mass produced, overproduced, it really lacks flavor. When you're getting something that's like grown by someone you know in your local community, it's just, it's a world of difference in the flavor.
Because we get a lot of people that are coming from different parts of the world, and they might say, wow, I wish we could do this at home. We have such short seasons.
Yep.
And so I suggest that they go on localharvest.org, and then they can type in their zip code and then find all of their local farmers, U-Pick farms, natural food stores, restaurants that support local farmers.
That's
And
amazing.
it's a good
So what's
way-
the website again?
Localharvest.org.
.org. Okay.
Yeah.
So Sonoma County, lots of amazing makers, artists, chefs. Like, who are some of your favorites? I mean, besides me. I'm kidding.
Well, I mean, I've always loved coming to Guerneville, and a huge impact on just with all of your places, just really enhancing this town. And I know all my friends love coming here, so thank you for that.
Yeah,
And
I mean, it's like your story a little bit. Like, it's fun.
Yeah.
And I'm enjoying doing it. And then when it becomes not fun, then maybe I'll slow down. But
Yeah.
when you find something you love, like you, it's not work anymore. I mean, it's definitely, we all have our headaches,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But who else are some of your big inspirations in this area?
So I've been working with Travis at Urban Tree Farm for 15 years, and he's the salt of the earth, super knowledgeable about trees and plants in general. And it's like 40 acres of trees, and it's so fun to just go there and peruse like all the alleys of trees and get ideas and get inspired. And there's been times I've been looking for certain trees and he doesn't have them in stock, but through his network, he can find them and bring them in. And it's just like a magical place.
It is a magical place. And it turns out I actually got you a little gift from the Urban Tree Farm. So this little guy, he is a Fruit Mulberry Dwarf Black.
Oh, nice.
So that's your little guy here. Yeah.
I need a black because we
Sweet.
have Pakistani white.
Oh, awesome.
This will round out.
It's like I knew.
Yeah.
It's like magic. Yeah, I love Urban Tree Farm.
Yeah.
I mean, like one of the things that happened, I recently decided to plant some fruit trees at the house and had no idea about like, oh, you need a pollinator, or these are self-pollinating, and then these, and my wife sent me with specific instructions, like, I don't want more Santa Rosa plums. And I'm like, but babe, that's the pollinator for all these other ones that you want. And I'm like, okay, I have no idea. And so I'm on the phone there and I'm like, babe, we got it. We have to get a Santa Rosa plum, and I'm gonna let you talk to the guy at the Urban Tree Farm and he'll explain why. So I came home with a bunch of fruit trees, and yeah, we have an abundance, at least what the deers don't get at. So I got to still sort that bit out, but so far so good.
Well, thank you so much for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is awesome.
Here's the deal. I follow your Instagram page, saw your puppy, Tito. Super cute. So Truffle Dog, how do you train a dog to be a truffle hunting dog?
I mean, you start out with a truffle in one hand and a treat in the other, put it behind your back and you pull it out. Generally, you have a word. And so my word is bene, which means good in Italian.
Yep.
And so I go bene, 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 and he puts his nose on the truffle and then he gets the treat. And so you keep doing this handwork over and over again. And as time goes on, then you start hiding them around the house.
The truffles.
The truffles.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think I remember the very first like article or piece that came out about like the first few truffles that Kendall Jackson harvested. Yeah. And I know so little about this sort of world, but and obviously it's new to the US, right? Because this is all happening, in Europe. So one of the exciting things that I'm hearing more about is the truffle farming. So you guys have this amazing truffle farm here in Sonoma County. Tell us a little bit more about that. Like climate-wise, is this ideal?
Yeah, I mean, Sonoma County is pretty much ideal for almost anything. It's due to this climate and our soils and so many different factors that make this such a great place to produce black truffles.
I mean, it's unbelievable to me because this is really something that's only mostly ever been happening in Europe. And so for it to be coming here and for it to be, if we are Sonoma County, like the #1 producer of truffles in North America is pretty epic. And thanks to you for the work.
The trees were planted 11 years ago, and we had our first harvest 6 years into the project, which is right on schedule. We just finished our 5th season of harvest.
Wow.
The gentleman who grows the trees, he'll plant an acorn or a hazelnut. He'll grow those out for a year, and then he'll wash all the soil off, dip that into a hydrogen peroxide solution to kill anything that might be on the roots, dip them into a sugar solution that's been inoculated with truffles, and then replant them in a soilless media and grow that out for a year. And then after that, they'll take some root samples to see if that symbiotic relationship is taken. And at that point, they're ready to be sold. We have not quite 10 acres of production,
wow.
Over 3,000 trees. Not all of them are producing, but our largest harvest so far has been 65 pounds in a season.
We're gonna go into our final cider. This one is the driest cider. It's actually referred to the champagne of ciders, if you will. So cheers on that. And this one, I'm assuming, unfiltered, right? 'Cause it's nice and cloudy.
And once again, I love dry.
I do too, and it actually almost tastes like a little bit of like kind of funky, almost like natural wine-ish. Yeah, it's super
exactly.
good. Very impressed with our ciders today. We're coming back to your Instagram, which is Farmer T. So if you don't follow, you gotta follow. Do you take all your images, and what are you taking them on? Just an iPhone? Yeah, it's crazy. They're so good and so consistently like pleasant to just see, and they just pop. But there's one photo I'm gonna show you of yourself here. What is this background? What's the holes? What are we looking at? Because I love your smile, by the way. You must have a smile.
JJ is an artist, and he works closely with Massimo Bottura, and but he has several projects going on, like all the time around the world. And I forget the name of this project, but basically he was just traveling around the world, taking people's portraits, and then they would print out these like larger than life size copies, and then like plaster sides of buildings with them.
So where are you plastered, and what is the background?
So this was at the Museum of Modern Art in San Francisco. He had a whole installation inside with this panoramic view of San Francisco, and every person in this sort of video production had a story. And but it's really awesome how he connects with individuals like that.
How was it seeing yourself like bigger than life? Were you like, whoa, yeah, that's me? Yeah.
Pretty surreal.
So any upcoming projects that you're working on? I mean, tell us like what's new, what's on the horizon?
So we're working on installing 3 greenhouses.
Amazing.
So that will really help round out our year-round production. I'm super excited about that.
I know this is something, I mean, we've talked in the past, this is something you've been wanting for a very long time.
Yeah, so, you know, a lot of farmers will sort of slow down and take a break through the winter, but that's when restaurants typically start getting busy with Thanksgiving and
holidays, parties, all the things,
all the way through Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, and from what I've seen, chefs are just yearning for fresh produce.
Yeah, because it's that, or we're getting stuff shipped from
Salinas or wherever.
So these last couple of years, I know we've all been busy. It's been kind of a crazy time. What's one thing you're not doing anymore that's made your life better or different or more interesting?
For better or worse, have been a procrastinator in my life. And I think part of that is needing that deadline or that drive, and then the creative juices start flowing as a result. And there's that window where I feel like I'm at my best. What we've all been through in the past few years, it's kind of allowed me to reframe that and understand like, here is now, and let's
get it done.
Yeah.
The time is now.
Yeah.
So what would you tell, what would Tucker tell an aspiring gardener, farmer? Like, what's your words of wisdom?
I mean, compost is key. Like, it's all about soil. And so not unlike we eat kimchi and sauerkraut and yogurt to inoculate our guts, when you add compost to your soil, you're inoculating your soil with billions of microorganisms. And so that's one of the easiest ways to just kickstart your garden.
It is definitely an art, for sure. Thank you for your wisdom. This has been amazing. You've been an incredible guest. It's been such a pleasure. I mean, we've had some margaritas and some mezcal together, but it was amazing to enjoy some ciders. And thank you for bringing beautiful produce. I love what you do. And as a chef, like, super grateful for what you bring to the party always. So cheers. Absolutely. So the day wouldn't be complete without one of my favorites, Kendall Jackson's Sauvignon Blanc. Cheers. Tucker, you've been amazing. It's been wonderful to have you here.
Thank you.
This is Beyond the Wineglass.